pissed off. What?
Okay, first of all, he's smiling when he says that. So that's first cue. And you know, he's an actor, so he should know this.
I'm pissed off.
Do you see that? That's straight up duping delight. You can even see the smile in his eyes. Also, I'm almost positive that okay, this is just my opinion, but I think his eyes are cashed from smoking pot. That's what they look like. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe that was done on purpose to make him look like he had been crying. But if you were to take this image right here. Okay. So if you were to pause this picture, excuse my dog. If you were to take this picture and you were to zoom it in like I'm about to do, if you looked at this picture not knowing what the context of the image was, you would think that he's telling a funny story. Okay? He's got even the corners of his mouth are turned up. His dimples are showing. There's smiling in his eyes. And anybody who's been in a physical altercation that was, hateful, unless they're incredibly screwed up in the brain, which obviously you have to be sort of screwed up to be able to do this, but I'm talking about like really screwed up. That's not normal behavior, okay? So that's my first two things that I wanted to point out.
Pissed off.
Okay, so then he did this thing with his mouth, right? He kind of did this thing where you're kind of like that. I'm pissed off.
I'm pissed off.
It's almost like he did that because he realized he had been smiling. That could be an acting tactic that he does.
What?
That very well, that thing that he just did with his jaw may be one of the acting techniques that he uses to keep from smiling during a serious part of of the TV show, or any part that he's acting in.
Is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers? It's the attackers, but it's also...
There was a slight duping delight there. I'm going to slow it down so you can see.
But it's also...
See? Did y'all see that? Let's go a little slower.
But it's also...
There you go. You've got another smile in there.
The attacks.
He did it again. He's smiling again.
It's like, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then...
His eyes are extremely cashed. He has definitely been smoking weed.
That's it, because...
Now, he looks like he has a little lie factory going on right here.
It's the truth.
He's leaning into her kind of like, you need to believe me, bitch. And this is some fury that he is showing towards the actual Trump supporters. He holds some serious, serious disdain toward anybody who supports Trump. And that's clear right here. So he's channeling that right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking over to the side because he knows it's a lie. Another kind of skeezy little side look.
Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth. And then it became a thing of like, oh, it's not necessarily that you don't believe that this is the truth. You don't even want to see the truth. What happened that night, Jussie?
Okay, here we go.
I landed in Chicago, and Frank Gatson, who's like my uncle and he's also my creative director, and he picked me up. And then we got back to the apartment. There was no food, and so I went out to Walgreens thinking that they were 24 hours and to have a smoke. So I went out to Walgreens.
I'm a little suspicious because, you know, when somebody raises their eyebrows, they're trying to convince somebody of something. When you're trying to convince something or sell something, you'll raise your eyebrows up like that. It'll crinkle your forehead. But the thing is that this journalist has not shown anything that says that she doesn't believe him. So the fact that he's trying to sell this story to her is a little suspicious to me.
Thinking that they were
He's still smiling.
24 hours and to have a smoke.
And he's slightly shaking his head this way, okay? And now he's laughing.
Walgreens was closed.
Okay, so I'm beginning to think that this side is where he produces his lies, and this side is where he's going into memory, so I'm almost curious to see what he's going to say here.
So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm going to run to Subway, which was across the street, and I'm going to get a salad. Do you want anything? I went to the Subway and got the order. During that time, I texted my manager thinking that he was still in Australia because he was on an Australian tour with one of his other clients.
Okay, so a little suspicious. He's kind of giving too much information. That's one of those things that you have to look for. Somebody who's lying, they'll often give information that you didn't ask for. I
say, yo, call me when you can. He called me immediately, and
he just clenched his mouth together.
You can. He called me immediately, and while he was on the phone, I heard, as I was crossing the intersection, I heard Empire. And I don't answer to Empire. My name ain't Empire.
The lip bite suspicious as well.
And I didn't answer. I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, did you just say to me? And I see the attacker masked, and he said, this MAGA country punches me right in the face. So I punched his ass back. And then we started tussling, you know, it was very icy. And we ended up tussling by the stairs. Fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And then it just stopped. And they ran off. And I saw where they ran. And the phone was in my pocket, but it had fallen out. And it was sitting there. And my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, Brandon. And he's like, what's going on? And I said, I was just jumped. And then I looked down and I see that there's a rope around my neck. which I hadn't.
You hadn't noticed it before?
No,
you didn't
because
see?
it was so fast. You know what I'm saying? It was so fast.
How long did this all
It felt like minutes, but it probably was like 30 seconds, honestly. I can't
Honestly, see that?
tell you honestly.
I will say that his story of it happening seems pretty solid, except that he's probably rehearsed it. He's probably said it so many times to so many different people that he can say it in a way that makes it seem like he's pulling it from a memory. But I think what we really need to focus on here are the questions that she asks him. And obviously she says, "You didn't notice the rope around your neck?" Hell, if somebody, I mean, you know, you never know until you're in that position, but a rope around your neck? Rope is extremely painful against the skin. I mean, think about having to climb the rope in gym class. Do you remember how painful that was just to even put your hands on it and climb a couple of, feet? But he says, she asks him, how'd you, and he's like, honestly, and that's one of those Q words, remember?
I can't tell you honestly.
He can't tell her honestly.
I noticed
he gulped just now because he's realizing she might ask him some questions he doesn't really know how to answer. He wasn't expecting that, so we're probably going to be hearing some honestlies in here.
The rope around my neck, and I started screaming, and I said, "There's a rope around my neck."
Did you get any kind of description of the attack?
I gave a body description, and I, because I saw this, right here or whatever, but I can't tell you what color their eyes were. I can't tell you. And I did not see anything except the second person I saw running away. And the first person, I saw his stature.
He's stumbling. Look, he had that first part nailed down, okay? He had that part nailed down. He had his story planned. It was very well rehearsed. He said it very well. That's why you couldn't hear me really saying much about it. But this is where the juicy part's going to be coming.
I gave the description as best as I could. You have to understand also that it's Chicago in winter. People can wear ski masks and nobody's...
Well, isn't that convenient?
...going to question that.
The police have gone through a lot of video and they were able to capture an image of two people of interest. Have you seen that image? Mm-hmm. And do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
Okay, this is definitely his sketchy area. Just saying, sketchy.
What is it about their size, or what? Why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there.
What a weak-ass answer.
For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any...
He's so nervous. Look at his mouth shaking. Let's slow this down for a second.
I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them. Never did.
Why did you hesitate to want to call the police?
There's a level of pride there. We live in a society where...
Oh, here comes the waterworks.
As a gay man, you are considered somehow to be weak. And I'm not weak. I am not weak. And we, as a people, are not weak. So, I can accept that there was pride there. There's also privacy. At the end of the day, look what has happened.
Now, because he is a gay man, there's been, well, not probably, very, very likely that he's been through some shit. It wouldn't be too hard for him to pull some tears out if he's talking about that sort of subject. Yeah.
Look what has happened. So, I'm glad that Frank called.
Smiling, duping delight.
The police. I'm glad that we reported it. during that time before they came, it took them about maybe half hour to come. And during that time, I was looking at myself, just like checking myself out. I saw the bruise on my neck, you know, like the little, the rope burn around my neck. And then I smelled bleach. I know the smell of bleach. And I saw on my sweatshirt, it had marks on it, like spots on it, when you have a bad bleach job. So then I was like, there's bleach on me too. So when the police came, I kept the clothes on.
That was a very strange sniff. Okay.
I kept the clothes on.
Why he's shaking his head? He put different clothes on. He had different clothes on earlier.
I kept.
He's supposed to be nodding his head. There's something off about that head movement and what he's saying.
The rope.
So you had the rope on the entire time?
I mean, it wasn't like wrapped around, but yeah, it was around because I wanted them to see. I wanted them to see what this was. I told them what happened, everything.
Which is bizarre.
I also asked them to turn their body cams off because they were trying to stay in the hall. I wanted them to see what this was. I told them what happened, everything.
Shaking his head.
I also asked them to turn their body cams off because they were
Why would you ask the cops to turn the body cams off?
Trying to stay in the hallway. And I was like, please just come in. Like, I don't want a big scene with my neighbors and with like the second round of police officers. I went down to where it happened and I walked them through exactly what happened. And I looked up and I saw that there was a camera directly on the light post that is in the intersection. So I'm like, there it is.
A potential break in the case that would eventually fall apart days later.
And then the detective told me that the camera inside of the casing was facing north. So they didn't have it. And that was disappointing.
The vast majority of people...
I think he might have known that. I mean, why would you smile? Look at this. Watch this.
And that was just...
Again, if I were to pause this image and show you the photo, you would think he's talking about something funny. That's something that would be pleasing. But in that situation of the fact that the camera did not catch what happened because it was facing the opposite direction, that's the opposite reaction that he should be having.
The vast majority of people have been supportive and loving and understanding. And then as time has gone on, and that there's no, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to Subway, Sub-Zero.
Subway is open 24 hours. Like, people kill me when they say things like that because it's like Subway is open 24 hours for a reason.
Okay, I had to take a break. It's now the next day. I see that the Dialogue had just posted her rendition of this. I have not watched it. Okay, this is all stuff that I'm just taking from my own abilities here. Again, I'm not an expert at all. I don't really even know what it would take to become an expert at body language. I mean, everybody's different, but from what I'm seeing so far in this video, I mean, he's not telling the truth at all. Okay, so there might be a little bit of overlap from yesterday, but let's just continue. Okay, so again, remember, whenever she asks him questions, it's like it might as well just be out of left field because he's not prepared for these questions, and so none of it's going to come out to be as smooth as like his original story was at the beginning of the interview.
I'm not going to do that.
And again, who wouldn't give the police their phone if they were brutally attacked with bleach, rope, and whatever else?
Why?
Because I have private pictures and videos and numbers. My partner's number, my...
That's a very strange sniff.
Family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers, my private email.
That expression that he's doing with his mouth there, everything's tight.
Pictures and videos and numbers, my partner's number, my family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers.
Okay, so remember, when somebody's lying, they'll often over-explain things. So that's what he's doing right now. So the fact that he's just listing off all these people, he could have very well, if he was telling the truth and the real reason why he didn't give the police his phone, he would have said, I've got my private information on there, you know?
My private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos.
Private songs? I mean,
I don't know what that's going to be to hand over my phone for, and honestly, by then...
And his nostrils are flaring.
Inaccurate, false statements had already been put out there.
Okay, so he's saying inaccurate, false statements. Now, to give him the benefit of the doubt, which I don't really want to do, but just to do it, if he could be shaking his head, still saying like, I'm not going to give them my phone, but he's saying that something was like a positive action, so they were put out there, so he should have, it should have been more of a head nod in that case. Another thing that I noticed is that he's leaning forward, which is very, that's definitely a stance of slight aggression. Even though it's minimal, in body language, nothing's minimal.
Ones that you have heard that were inaccurate.
That I had said that they...
Her squinting, her head shaking, I definitely don't think, I think as the interview has gone on, she's gotten more and more suspicious of him, especially his behavior when she asks him questions.
We're wearing MAGA hats. I never said that. I didn't need to add anything like that. They called me a... They called me...
Okay. It's hard to explain because he's an actor, okay? So, he's an actor. So, they're tricky, alright? But this level of anger right here seems pretty forced. He has a lot of aggression towards real bigots and stuff, obviously, for obvious reasons, okay? So it's not hard to pull that from his memory or pull it from his, inside feelings, because the people who are like that, that is how he feels.
They called me...
Okay, that transition between the smiling and the angry, look at that. We're gonna go slower here, okay? Within seconds. See, here you'd think that he's about to tell a funny story, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. Is that the face of somebody who's upset?
They called...
Pause it again. Think about it. Does he look at all like he's upset?
me...
Okay, now there's the aggression, right?
There's no which way you cut it. I don't need some...
There's a smile again. What's he about to say? There's a lot of anger. Look at that. There's another smile.
As the cherry on top of some racist sundae. I've heard that it was a date gone bad, which I so resent.
Why? See, that's the thing. It's like, why is he smiling so much? Yeah, a lot of people smile when they're feeling awkward. But this is totally different than that.
Which I so resent. That narrative. I'm not gonna go out and get a tuna sandwich.
He resents that narrative because that's not the narrative he wanted to put out there. That's all I'm saying.
sandwich and a salad to meet somebody.
What?
Which I so resent that narrative. I'm not going to go out and get a tuna sandwich and a salad to meet somebody. That's ridiculous. And it's offensive. Yes, there's Grindr. Yes, there's Jacked. Yes, there's all of these things.
What are you talking about? You're not going to get a tuna salad? What? Okay, so there is some eyebrow action up in here.
Yes, there's Grindr. Yes, there's Jacked. Yes, there's all of these things, which I have not been on in years. I can admit that I was on that back in the day.
Well, see, he's talking about a bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be talked about at all. He reminds me of just a lying teenager right here. Like, he's talking about a bunch of stuff that nobody asked for.
I can admit that I was on that back in the day. I was single. You know what I'm saying? But I have not been on that in years. But aside from that, it's offensive. And I absolutely resent that narrative because it's bull. It's bull. And it's unfair. It's unfair to the investigation. It's unfair.
He is talking so much.
Unfair to, I hate this word, but it's unfair to the victim.
What were your injuries? What were
they did x-rays. I didn't have, it was reported that I had like fractured ribs or cracked ribs or something like that. That wasn't true. I was just in a lot. You know, my clavicle was messed up. My rib was bruised, but nothing was cracked. Like I walked into the hospital. I walked out of the hospital.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I can just assume, I mean, I come really, really hard against 45.
It's the smiling, the laughing. This is not typical behavior for somebody who has just gone through something extremely traumatic.
I come really, really hard against his administration. And I don't hold my tongue.
I want to ask you about Jussie Smollett.
I think that's horrible. It doesn't get worse, as far as I'm concerned.
Were you aware that he made that statement?
I saw it. I don't know what to say to that. You know?
Did you see the level of disgust right here? Let's back it up. He really, really, I mean, obviously he's not hiding it or anything, but he really hates Trump, like with a passion. So he also cowered his body. Okay, like when you hunch your shoulders down, you are basically like hiding, you're hiding out, right? You're cowering down, and was not expecting that sort of reaction from President Trump. Okay, so him hunching his shoulders over and being like, oopsie, like kind of like that. Like if you were to say, oopsie, that's sort of how he looks right now, isn't it?
Say that. You know.
There, right there, disgust. And then tightening his mouth. Guilt, possibly.
You know,
He's thinking of a lie.
appreciate him not brushing over it.
And there is no doubt in your mind what motivated this attack.
I could only go off of their words.
Kitty! Ugh.
I mean, who says empire, this MAGA country, ties a noose around your neck and pours bleach on you? And this is just a friendly fight. I will never be the man that this did not happen to.
Okay, hold on a second. I will never be the man that this did not happen to. That does.
Just a friendly fight. I will never be the man that this did not happen to.
Oh, really? And he's smiling. That's so weird.
I am forever changed.
He's not forever changed because it didn't happen. And now he's doing that. Okay, here's the thing. it's almost like that flaring, tightening of the mouth thing is an acting tactic to keep him from smiling when he's not supposed to be smiling. I think I said that in the last half of this, but he's done it so much more as the talk has continued.
And I don't subscribe to the idea that everything happens for a reason, but I do subscribe to the idea that we have the right and the responsibility to make something meaningful out of the things that happen to us, good and bad.
What do you feel people need to hear the most?
Okay, you see her eyes? She's squinting at him. I'm not sure she buys it. And she's a seasoned journalist too, so she's seen a thing or two in her life.
From this story,
I think that what people need to hear is just the truth.
Oh, he shook his head. Oh, he shook his head. It's so simple. It's so damn simple.
It's just the truth, cause...
Shaking his head again. And a convincing eyebrow move. Licking his lips. Tucking his bottom lip in his mouth. Holding stuff back.
Everybody has their own idea. Some are healing and some are hurtful. But I just want young people, young members of the LGBTQ community, young black children.
He gets really mad there. I would not be surprised if there had been an experience that he had that made him be as aggressively angry as he is now. There was definitely memory pulled from there that caused him to feel angry, an immense amount of anger. I have to emphasize that, an immense amount of anger. Watch that transition again.
Young members of the LGBTQ
Okay, so
community.
he's kind of calm here.
Young black children.
You see that anger?
To know how
and then he transitions back into
the power that they hold in their little pinky.
and he's still processing the raw emotions. Have you ever been threatened before?
Were there? I don't see any
I
tears.
get threatened all the time.
I don't see any tears
on Twitter and Instagram and DMs
and that's truth.
And things like that. It's like, but you know, I'm a public figure. I'm very outspoken. Sometimes maybe too outspoken. But it's who I am, you know, so I get the idea of pissing people off, that you're going to rub people the wrong way. Turner Dress said in big red, you know, like caps, MAGA. Did I make that up too?
And
so there's a sales technique that salespeople use where when you're talking to a client, if you want them to answer one of your questions with the word yes, with the word yes, you're taught to nod your head as you're asking the question, okay? Same goes with no. If somebody's asking you a question and they want the answer to be no, they will shake their head, okay? That's what you just saw right here. Watch it again.
You're hanging from a tree with a gun pointing towards it, with the words that said, "Smollett, Jussie, you will die, black." There was no address, but the return address said in big red, you know, like caps, MAGA. Did I make that up too?
So he's shaking. Did I make that up too? He wants her to say no. That's why he shook his head right there.
Despite lack of video surveillance footage, Smollett hopes to rewrite the narrative about that night, saying he fought back against his attacker.
And again, this is an extremely calculated lie. Okay, obviously he hasn't been It hasn't been 100% proven, but all signs point to yes. But this is an extremely calculated event. Everything was planned out. It was planned out that the camera was not facing in the direction where he was. He pretended like he didn't know that, but everything was calculated. This is a smart guy. He's smart, but he's not smart enough to cover up his body language, and which is really interesting because he's an actor.
And reported the incident after his creative director called 911.
He's supposed to be well-known requesting a report, and so the noose was placed over the friend's neck.
I want that video found so badly because
He does not want it to be found badly. Well, let's watch that again real quick.
The noose was placed over the friend's neck.
I want that video found so badly.
No, he doesn't.
Because for probably 4 reasons. Number one, I want
4 reasons. Wow, that's a. He said probably because 4 reasons. That doesn't even make any sense.
That did it. Number 2, I want them to stop being able to say alleged attack.
It makes him really mad that people are not believing his story. Because he really, really thought he was going to get away with this.
Number 3, I want them to see that I fought back.
He's smiling again.
And I want a little gay boy who might watch this to see that I fought back. And it does not
Okay, he's an actor.
take anything away from people that are not able to do that. But I fought back. They ran off. I didn't.
Okay. He did the lip, the chin tremble. It's very popular in Hollywood. If you can't get the tears out, at least you can get that out.
And it does not take anything away from people that are not able to do that. But I fought back.
I still don't see any
They ran off.
tears.
I didn't.
What do you say to a young gay man, a young gay person?
To learn to fight. And I don't just mean like learn to fight. I mean learn to fight. Learn to be a fighter. I am not advocating violence
She's like, I don't see any tears here.
at all. So let's be clear about that. If you're going to die, fight until you do. Because if you don't fight, you have no chance. I have fought for love. I'm an advocate.
What is he?
I respect too much.
Okay, I'm sorry, but the cuts to the journalists are just hilarious to me.
You have no chance. I have fought for love. I'm an advocate. I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked
And he's happy about that. He's very happy about that.
I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people
He's so happy about that.
who have been attacked in any way. You do such.
It's like he's doing these acting transitions. It's just kind of crazy.
When you lie about things like this, who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
If the attackers are never found, how will you be able to heal?
He's building up tears.
I don't know. Let's just hope that they are.
And he's happy that he developed some.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not go
Let's hope that they are. Better hope.
there yet. Let's,
Ooh-wee. He's so happy that he finally got some tears out. He is relieved as all get out.
I was talking to a friend, and I said, I just want them to find them. And she said, sweetie, they're not going to find them. That just made me so angry because so I'm just going to be left here with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to be left here with like, so they get to go free. And
He can't even describe what he's feeling because it's not a real feeling. That's my opinion anyway.
go about their life and possibly attack someone else. And I'm here to left with the aftermath of this bull. That's not cool to me. That's not okay. So I understand how difficult it will be to find them. But
Yeah, of course you do.
we gotta. I still want to believe with everything that has happened that there's something called justice. Because Because if I stop believing that, then what's it all for?
Yeah. Thank you, Jussie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed. It's a little different than what I normally do, but I just thought I'd do it. All right, guys. Bye now.